Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, I think you all pretty much have a pretty good idea of what's going on in places like Aurora, Colorado and Springfield, Ohio. There's a few other towns that's been mentioned, you know, up in Maine and Massachusetts, and they're scattered around. Those first two, they're definitely the ones that's getting all of the media right now. But the point is that I'm sure most of you have a pretty good idea of what's kind of going on. We've been talking about this problem for years now. We've been saying that it's going to hit a breaking point, and I think that we are starting to hit that breaking point. Before I get started with that, I want to mention something. If anyone has any interest in this, a good friend of ours, this is a family friend. They're in some need of help, and I rarely ever do this. I think I've done this a couple of times since I've ever had this channel. Anyways, there's a link down if in the description and comments if you want to help them. Basically, their story is that they had this house built, and there was a huge mistake being done with the builder and materials, and now there's a lot of mold in the house. And there's this big battle between them and trying to get it fixed. And the point is, the bottom line is that they've all become sick because of the mold that's in the house. And they can't live there. And they're trying to go through the legal process of getting the builder and everyone to fix this. And it's drawn out. But now they're in a place where they don't have a house to live in, basically. It's not good for them. And so they're trying to raise some funds because they don't have it. They've exhausted all the funds that they have. So I thought I would mention that if anyone feels led to. I don't want you to feel like you're being pushed into something that you don't want to do. If you feel led, pray about it. Anyways, there'll be a link in the description if you're interested. But anyways, back to all this problem. So there's become a lot more emotional, just a lot more emotions involved in all this, because we're now seeing more and more up front, in our face, what's really happening. And of course, there's facts, and then there's misinformation, and then there's news media and other entities saying that, well, the facts are the misinformation. And even though there's video evidence and there's reports and there's firsthand reports, and the bottom line is it's a situation that's probably worse than what most people thought it was going to get. And the fact is that it's going to get a lot worse. It's just getting started. These people are still coming across the border. They're still being shipped in, literally by plane and by boat. It's going to get worse. And I've been telling you for a while, if you want to have at least a glimpse of what we're in for, start to look at countries in Europe that's gone through the same process, that's done the same ridiculous policies, and that they're now in the same place, but maybe just a little bit more advanced than us, of third world people coming in and taking over and doing horrible things. I mean, we know for a fact that in Europe, there's tons of videos actually of them butchering and consuming pets right in the streets. There's all kinds of stuff. So figure out for yourself what you want to believe is fact and what is fiction. But the point that I'm trying to get to, and I know I'm taking the long way around the barn to get to the door, is we have to have a plan for this. And your prepping plan for however long you've been doing this is part of that. But you also have to, at some point, realize that maybe you live in an unsafe place. And I know this is a very soft subject, tender, emotional subject for a lot of you. I get probably as much hate mail and comments on this subject as I do anything. And that's the fact that you probably, some of you, need to seriously reconsider where you live. Is that the place you want to be? Take, for instance, Springfield, Ohio. You've got 60,000 people there, and then 20,000 people move in. And they're still coming in. I mean, there's videos of reporters, journalists on the street talking to people that's just recently, in the last month or two, from Haiti moved there. So there's still more people coming into Springfield, Ohio. When you get that kind of numbers, it's going to be very difficult. Very, very difficult. We're talking now approximately 25% of the population of that town, at least, are illegals from Haiti. It's going to be very difficult to fix that. It's going to be difficult even if you have a good number of good people, patriots that's willing to stand up and legally and ideologically and even physically fight to save their city. It's going to be difficult to win that battle with those numbers. And so in a situation like that, your best bet may just be to leave. Find a place that's better. Now, the question is what do they do when they come to your area? Well, if you're in an area, a good area, that's got good people in it, and that starts happening, that's the time you stand your ground. That's the time you stop it before it happens. Once it's already happened, you're on the losing side of things. And I know that sounds so negative, oh, you've given up, haven't you? Oh yeah, you're just going to give up. No, we have to be smart about things. We have to be logical. If you've got 25% of the population in that town that are illegals from Haiti, and however many people that are liberals, and then however many people that would consider themselves conservative but aren't going to do anything, you may be left with 3%, 5%, maybe 10% of the population that would actually do anything. And I'm being very liberal in the numbers there. In those situations, probably isn't a good idea to stay. You need to be in a place where you can survive. You need to be in a place where you can be self-sufficient. You need to be in a place where you can take care of yourself, and where there are other people that are close enough, like-minded to you, that would do the same, and that you can pull together. Now, I know that everyone's going to say, well, or not everyone, but a lot of people, well, that's nice, but what about money? Yes, that's always a problem. And I've said this so many times till I'm practically blue in the face. The vast majority of people that live in my area that have moved here to get away from the cities, to get away from the red states, the blue states, to get away from the liberal, from the illegals, from whatever it is that they're running away from, to come here and to be self-sufficient and have their little island. The vast majority of them, regardless of whether they came from money or not, they have moved here and moved to a very simplistic lifestyle. Vast majority. I mean, there's people living I've seen living in tents. I've seen people living in RVs. I've seen people build small cabins. And even, the people that started off in tents, they little by little built a cabin or something like that. Many of these people had almost nothing when they came here, but they had will, they had drive, they had the mindset that they were going to make it happen. Now, of course, I have seen the other side of the coin, people that come here thinking that they're going to do that, and then they give up. They move back to the city. Maybe it just wasn't cut out for them. But the thing is that this kind of stuff is going to keep happening. And if you're living right in the middle of it, I just don't see it that you, or even a few of you, are going to change things. I know it's going to make a lot of you mad, me saying that. But show me the evidence otherwise. Because I can show you a lot of evidence that supports my opinion. You need to get out. You need to get out of these cities of wickedness that are becoming more and more wicked, and get to a place where you can take care of yourself. I've said this so many times, I don't know how to say it anymore. Yes, some of you are going to listen. Some of you are trying. Some of you are finally waking up and saying, you know what, I thought I was prepared where I'm at, but I'm realizing now with all this going on, I'm a sitting duck here with a whole bunch of food, a whole bunch of ammo, but I'm still a sitting duck. And you've realized you need to get out. Others, it's not going to happen for you. And I don't know what to tell you. I guess in the end, one of us will be proven right and one of us will be proven wrong. But I'm not willing to take that kind of chance, not with my family. And I'm telling you, it can be done. There are still places. There are still places in Missouri Ozarks. There are still places in the Arkansas Ozarks. There's still places in Oklahoma. There's places in other areas that you can get that are fairly affordable. A little piece of land out and away. It's going to be hard. Nothing's easy about it, and you have less time now than you did 5-10 years ago. But it's doable. It's doable if you put your mind to it. And I think the people that will do that are the ones that are really going to survive, because they know, they're willing to take the chance. And they already have that grit, that toughness, and they're proving that by going out and doing, starting over from scratch, really, truly homesteading. It may not be the legal homesteading from the 1800s, but it really is a form of homesteading, just like back then. So many people just taking raw land, and they're breaking ground on it, and they're making gardens, and they're raising animals, and they're building a little cabin or whatever it is. It is a new modern type of homesteading. And those kind of people are already proven that they have grit. The ones that are unwilling, I don't know. I know that there's also those that just are going to argue and argue and argue, that they're just not capable. They're willing, but they're not capable. And I'm telling you, you should reevaluate that, because most of the times we are capable of much more than what we give ourselves credit for. These problems that you're seeing in these cities, they're spreading, because a year or two ago, we were having similar conversations about the big cities. Well, now they're into the medium-sized cities. They're down in Alabama, they're over in Georgia, they're up in Maine, they're in, Ohio and various other towns that aren't the Big Apple and San Francisco and Houston, Texas and Chicago, Illinois. Now they're in the middle-sized, medium-sized towns. Eventually, they're going to start to work their way into the smaller towns. And that's where most of you are going to get feeling it. And it's not going to take much longer. The numbers, there's too many. There's tens of millions. They are eventually going to disperse. And as the heat is put on them in areas like Springfield, Illinois, or Springfield, Ohio, some of them are going to say, you know what, there's too much attention on us here. It's getting, the community's getting too upset. Let's move somewhere else. Let's move somewhere else. And that's what many of them will be doing. And they may end up as your neighbor. If you've watched any of the videos of people that's been on the streets in Ohio, they'll talk about their neighbors, how there's 10 of them living in one bedroom, 20 and 30 people living in one house, and destroying property values, destroying neighborhoods, crime, making things difficult. You don't want to be caught in the middle of that. You need to get away from it as soon as possible if you find yourself. And yes, I know, a lot of you are going to disagree with me. Not going to change my opinion. Probably not going to change yours if you're arguing that hard to stay where you're at. But for the rest of you, use this as strong motivation to finally do what you've been talking about doing for a while, and that is getting out of these places. Find your little piece of heaven. It's not perfect. It's not completely safe. It's not easy. It's not cheap. But will you be able to survive much better? Have a greater chance of surviving out like this? Yeah, you will. It's time to get your houses in order and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.